How many times have you started a conversation with the usual, "Hi, how are you?" You've said it 1,000 times and you've heard it even more. But think about it. Does it ever create real connection? Does it ever spark interest, curiosity, or attraction? Most of the time it dies right there, swallowed up by routine. The truth is, generic phrases like that don't open doors. They close them. They keep interactions shallow, predictable, and forgettable. If you want to stand out, if you want to capture attention and leave a lasting impression, you need more than politeness. You need presence. That's where the Stoics, psychology, and modern neuroscience all meet. In this exploration, we'll focus on 4 simple words. 4 words at the heart of powerful expressions that awaken emotions, lower defenses, and make people naturally drawn to you. These words are not tricks, but timeless tools that transform the way others experience you. Stay with me until the very end, because I'll share with you a simple, illuminating alternative to "Hi, how are you?" A phrase so rare, so refreshing that it can instantly shift the energy of any conversation. Now let's get started. Understand. Word 1, understand. At the heart of "I understand you" is the word understand. This word may sound simple, but in practice it's transformative. To understand is to give someone one of the rarest gifts of all, the feeling of being truly seen. Modern psychology has consistently shown that the need to feel understood is just as fundamental as the need for safety or belonging. When someone tells us, "I understand you," our brain interprets it as validation of our inner world. Research on affect labeling demonstrates that when people articulate emotions, whether their own or others, the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, calms down, while the prefrontal cortex, associated with regulation and empathy, becomes more active. In other words, to say, "I understand you," literally helps the other person move from reactivity to calm clarity. This is why those who offer understanding feel magnetic. They reduce emotional chaos and replace it with relief. Relief is addictive. People want to stay close to whoever provides it. The Stoics saw understanding as the ultimate discipline of the mind. Epictetus warned against speaking too quickly. First, learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. To understand first is to master the ego. Instead of reacting from pride, you respond from clarity. In daily life, this means using understand in moments of frustration, pain, or insecurity. Look someone in the eye and say it slowly. "I understand you." Then pause. That silence gives weight to your words. It tells the other person, "You are here with me." You don't need to fight to be heard. And when people feel they don't need to fight, they attach to you. Sense. Word 2, sense. The key word in "that makes sense to me" is sense. This single word communicates that you've listened deeply, processed what was said, and respected the reasoning behind it. Unlike empty agreement, sense signals recognition of another person's logic, even if you don't fully share their view. Psychologists describe this as emotional mirroring. When you reflect back that something makes sense, you are confirming to the other person that their effort to explain themselves landed. Social psychology's shared reality theory explains why this is so powerful. We feel closest to those who confirm our experience of the world. When someone says, "That makes sense to me," our brain interprets it as alignment. And alignment breeds closeness. On a neurological level, this kind of recognition activates the brain's reward circuitry, creating feelings of reciprocity. It's as if the other person invested effort in opening up, and you've given that effort value in return. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." To say, "That makes sense," is an act of that tolerance. It shows discipline over the impulse to correct or dominate, and it communicates respect for someone else's perspective. Practically, the power of sense comes when it is specific. Instead of a vague "that makes sense," ground it in detail. "That makes sense to me because I can see how you reached that decision." This precision transforms the phrase into a mirror, and when someone sees their thoughts mirrored in you, they unconsciously feel safer, more connected, and more attracted in conversations. This word has the power to turn potential conflict into collaboration. It shifts energy from opposition to partnership, and in that partnership, trust begins to grow. Right. Word 3, right. In "you're right," the key word is right, a word that satisfies the universal human hunger for validation. Every person, no matter how confident, carries a quiet longing to be told, "You are correct," "You are seen," You are valued. Saying you're right is not about surrendering authority, it's about practicing emotional intelligence. Psychologists point to the confirmation bias, our tendency to favor those who affirm our beliefs. When you validate someone with right, you're not giving up influence, you're gaining it. By aligning even momentarily with their truth, you reduce defensiveness and open the door to connection, but timing and authenticity are everything. Overuse makes the phrase hollow, but when well placed, it's unforgettable. Imagine a heated discussion. Instead of escalating, you pause, look at the person and say, "You're right about that." The effect is immediate. Their ego relaxes. The emotional temperature drops. The interaction shifts. Stoic wisdom reminds us why this works. Seneca wrote, "It is the power of a great mind to acknowledge and embrace the truth no matter where it comes from. To recognize truth in others is not weakness, it's strength. Because it shows that you value truth over ego. The insecure need to win every argument. The wise know when to yield. In attraction, right signals humility and presence. It shows that you're not trying to dominate, but to connect. And paradoxically, people are more drawn to those who don't fight for every inch of ground. They see in you not weakness, but maturity. The maturity to recognize value in others without fear of losing your own. When used with sincerity, right is not just validation. It's liberation. It liberates the other person from the need to defend themselves. And when someone feels they no longer need to defend, they lean closer, trust more deeply, and remember you longer. Listen. Word 4. Listen. The heart of the phrase, "I'm listening." On the surface, it may sound simple, but in practice, it is one of the rarest and most magnetic acts you can offer. Modern life is full of noise. We live in a culture where people speak more than they hear, where conversations often turn into competitions of who can respond the fastest. Studies from the University of Minnesota show that the average person retains only about 25% of what they hear. That means genuine listening, listening without distraction, without judgment, without rehearsing your reply, is shockingly scarce. And scarcity creates value. When you look someone in the eye and say, "I'm listening," you are doing more than confirming you heard their words. You are signaling presence. You are telling them, "Right now you matter. Right now you have my full attention." Psychologists describe this as fulfilling the need for belonging, a universal human drive to feel noticed and significant. And the brain responds. Neuroimaging studies reveal that being deeply listened to activates reward pathways similar to those triggered by receiving gifts. The Stoics valued this long before neuroscience confirmed it. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." To the Stoics, silence was not weakness, but mastery. Seneca also observed that the wise person is slow to speak, but quick to listen, because listening reflects control over the impulse to dominate. In attraction, the power of listening is even greater. Physical appearance may capture initial attention, but it rarely sustains it. What sustains desire is the feeling of being safe, understood, and free to express oneself. When you embody listening, you create that safe space. And in that space, people relax, open up, and begin to associate your presence with relief and authenticity. Relief is addictive. Authenticity is magnetic. This is why listen is not just a skill, but a presence. To listen is to step out of your ego and into the reality of another person. It shows discipline, humility, and strength, the very virtues the Stoics admired most. And in a world where everyone is speaking, the one who truly listens becomes unforgettable, the alternative to "Hi, how are you?" So let's circle back to where we started. Most conversations begin with the same empty script. "Hi, how are you?" It's polite, but it rarely creates spark, rarely makes you memorable, and almost never leads to deeper connection. Now you know there's a better way. Here's the alternative I promised. Instead of "Hi, how are you?" try saying, "Tell me something good." It's fresh, it's disarming, and it immediately shifts the energy of the exchange. People don't just answer out of habit. They pause, they think, and they share something meaningful. That's the difference between routine and presence. And once the door is open, remember the 4 words we've explored: understand, sense, write, listen. These are not tricks. They're timeless tools. They embody Stoic wisdom and modern psychology. reminding us that influence is not about saying more, but about saying what matters. Because in the end, attraction isn't about chasing, it's about awakening. And awakening begins with the right words, spoken at the right time.